What if you had the chance to glimpse into the future? A future shaped by humanity's choices and the consequences of its actions. For David, a brief moment between life and death opened a window into 2025, where he saw what many would consider both alarming and inspiring. His near-death experience led him to an encounter with Jesus, who revealed truths that are both a wake-up call and a roadmap for redemption. David's story is not just about what he saw, but what it means for us. The visions he experienced carry lessons for every individual, lessons that, if ignored, could lead to devastating outcomes. Stay with us as we unravel this extraordinary journey and discover why the message of 2025 is one you cannot afford to overlook. David's journey began with a sudden, life-threatening event, a cardiac arrest that halted his heart. As paramedics rushed to revive him, he felt himself slipping away from his body. The experience wasn't one of pain, but rather an overwhelming sense of detachment, as though he were observing the scene from a distance. In this suspended state, the world as he knew it faded. The sounds of frantic voices and medical equipment dimmed, replaced by a silence that felt neither empty nor ominous. It was in this stillness that David encountered the first signs of something extraordinary, a light that grew brighter and more inviting with every passing moment. The light wasn't just visual, it was an experience. It radiated warmth, understanding, and an undeniable sense of peace. As he moved toward it, David found himself standing before Jesus. The figure wasn't imposing or distant, but profoundly present, radiating love and compassion. Jesus' first message to David was simple yet profound. Your time is not yet over. You must return, for there is much you need to share. With those words, David felt a surge of purpose, even as he stood on the precipice of a revelation that would change his understanding of existence. One of the first revelations Jesus shared with David was a vivid vision of Earth in 2025. The planet was in a state of disarray, suffering from the consequences of human actions. Massive floods swept through major cities, rendering them uninhabitable. Rivers overflowed, and once thriving ecosystems were reduced to barren wastelands. David saw wildfires raging across continents, consuming forests and homes alike. The skies were filled with smoke, choking the very air humanity relied on. Coastal areas were swallowed by rising seas, displacing millions and leaving devastation in their wake. It was as if the planet itself was crying out in agony. Jesus explained that these events weren't random, but the result of years of environmental neglect. Humanity's relentless pursuit of profit had come at the expense of nature, and now the Earth was reacting to decades of exploitation. It wasn't just about climate change, it was about the spiritual disconnect that allowed such disregard to flourish. Yet, amidst the chaos, there was a glimmer of hope. David was shown individuals and societies working tirelessly to heal the planet. Their efforts, though small, demonstrated that change was possible. The message was clear. Humanity had a choice: to continue on its destructive path or to accept stewardship and restoration. The next vision Jesus shared was one of spiritual desolation. David saw a world where faith had become an afterthought. Churches stood empty, and places of worship were repurposed or abandoned altogether. People sought fulfillment in material wealth, fame, and technology, but their souls remained unsatisfied. David saw individuals scrolling endlessly on their devices, consuming content but never connecting. Families sat in the same room but didn't speak, their attention diverted to screens. The spiritual void was palpable, a silent epidemic that had eroded humanity's collective well-being. Jesus revealed that this disconnect wasn't just a personal issue, it was a societal one. Without faith, people lost their moral compass. They became susceptible to fear, manipulation, and despair. The lack of spiritual grounding left them vulnerable to external influences, eroding their ability to discern truth from deception. David also saw sparks of revival. Small groups gathered to pray, meditate, and reconnect with their faith. These gatherings weren't about organized religion, but about finding meaning and purpose. Jesus emphasized that the key to overcoming this void lay in rekindling the spiritual flame within each individual. In another vision, David saw a world fractured by division. Nations were at odds, with conflicts over resources leading to widespread suffering. Political systems were mired in corruption, and leaders prioritized power over the welfare of their people. The divisions weren't just between countries. They existed within societies and families. Social media amplified these rifts, turning minor disagreements into irreparable schisms. People became more polarized, retreating into echo chambers where their views were reinforced rather than challenged. Jesus explained that this division was rooted in fear and selfishness. Humanity had lost its ability to empathize, to see the humanity in those with differing opinions. This lack of understanding created a cycle of mistrust and hostility, feeding the very systems that profited from conflict. Despite this bleak outlook, Jesus showed David moments of reconciliation. Acts of kindness and understanding began to bridge divides. People who had once been adversaries came together, realizing that unity was the only path forward. The vision served as a reminder that even in the darkest times, love and compassion could prevail. David's journey continued with a revelation about technology. He saw a world where advancements had been turned against the very people they were meant to serve. Surveillance systems monitored every move, and artificial intelligence was used to manipulate public opinion. Social media, once a tool for connection, had become a battleground for misinformation and propaganda. Algorithms prioritized engagement over truth, creating a distorted reality that left people confused and divided. Technology, instead of empowering humanity, was being used to control it. Jesus emphasized that technology itself wasn't the problem. It was how humanity chose to use it. The same tools that caused harm could also bring about incredible progress. David saw examples of technology being used for good, connecting isolated societies, advancing medical research, and spreading messages of hope. The vision served as a cautionary tale. Humanity had the power to shape the role of technology in its future, but it required wisdom, accountability, and a commitment to ethical principles. In one of the most sobering visions, David saw the state of global leadership in 2025. Leaders in many nations were driven by personal ambition and power rather than the well-being of their people. Corruption was rampant, and decisions that could have mitigated disasters were delayed or ignored entirely. David witnessed leaders prioritizing profit over lives, choosing short-term gains at the expense of long-term sustainability. In one vision, a catastrophic famine gripped several nations due to neglect and poor planning. Yet, rather than coming together to address the crisis, governments squabbled over control of dwindling resources. Jesus explained that the issue wasn't merely about who held power, but about the values guiding them. Leadership had strayed from principles of service and humility, and this misalignment had a ripple effect across societies. A lack of ethical leadership deepened divides, fostered mistrust, and perpetuated systemic inequality. Despite this bleak reality, David saw hope in grassroots movements. Local surroundings stepped up to fill the void left by absent leadership, creating networks of support and collaboration. These efforts, though small, highlighted humanity's potential to overcome even the greatest challenges when guided by compassion and unity. Another key revelation centered on the role of faith during times of crisis. David was shown people enduring unimaginable hardships, natural disasters, economic collapse, and societal unrest. Yet, amidst the chaos, their faith became a source of resilience and strength. Faith wasn't confined to a specific religion or belief system. Instead, it was the act of placing trust in something greater than oneself. For some, it was God. For others, it was a sense of universal purpose or connection. This faith helped individuals find meaning in suffering and motivated them to persevere. Jesus shared that crises often serve as a crucible, refining humanity's understanding of what truly matters. In times of abundance, people can become complacent, losing sight of their values. But in adversity, faith reawakens, acting as both a shield and a guiding light. David also saw examples of how faith united societies. Shared belief systems fostered solidarity, providing not only spiritual comfort but practical support. Jesus emphasized that rekindling faith on a global scale could serve as a foundation for healing and rebuilding a fractured world. Perhaps the most uplifting part of David's journey was the vision of humanity's potential for redemption. Despite the warnings and challenges, Jesus showed him glimpses of a future where humanity had chosen a different path. A path of love, compassion, and responsibility. David saw people coming together to restore the environment, using technology to repair ecosystems and reverse some of the damage done. Societies prioritized education and innovation, teaching the next generation the importance of sustainability and respect for the earth. On a personal level, individuals began to reconcile with one another. Families mended broken relationships, and neighbors who once harbored resentment became allies. Acts of kindness and forgiveness spread like ripples, creating a wave of change that was both profound and lasting. Jesus emphasized that redemption wasn't about perfection, but about intent and effort. Humanity didn't need to solve every problem overnight. It simply needed to take the first step. This vision served as a reminder that, no matter how dire the circumstances, the possibility of a brighter future remained within reach. The most alarming aspect of David's experience was the clear warnings about what 2025 might hold if humanity failed to change its course. Jesus revealed scenes of widespread suffering, not as a punishment, but as a natural consequence of collective choices. David saw cities shrouded in darkness, both literal and metaphorical. Power outages left millions without basic necessities, while moral decay eroded trust and cooperation. The world seemed on the brink of collapse, held together only by the resilience of those who refused to give up hope. Jesus explained that these warnings weren't meant to inspire fear, but action. Humanity had been given countless opportunities to course correct, yet complacency and ignorance often prevailed. The visions served as a final wake-up call, urging people to take responsibility for their actions before it was too late. However, even in the darkest visions, there were sparks of light. Individuals who chose to act with integrity and compassion became beacons of hope, inspiring others to follow suit. This reinforced the message that while the future was uncertain, it was not predetermined. As David's journey came to an end, Jesus delivered a powerful call to action. The visions weren't just a glimpse into the future, they were a plea for humanity to awaken and take responsibility for its destiny. Jesus emphasized that change begins with individuals. Every small act of kindness, every moment of self-reflection, and every effort to better oneself contributed to a larger wave of transformation. The collective power of these actions was immense, capable of overcoming even the most daunting challenges. David was reminded that humanity's greatest strength lies in its interconnectedness. By supporting one another and working toward common goals, people could achieve miracles. The message wasn't about fear, but empowerment, a reminder that every person has a role to play in shaping the future. In his final moments with Jesus, David felt an overwhelming sense of hope. He returned to life with a renewed sense of purpose, determined to share these revelations and inspire others to take action. His story is not just his own. It is a call for all of us to rise to the occasion. David's near-death experience offers a sobering yet hopeful vision of what 2025 could bring. The revelations he received from Jesus highlight both the challenges we face and the immense potential for redemption. The future is not set in stone. It is shaped by our choices, both as individuals and as a collective. If this story resonated with you, consider sharing it with others and taking steps toward positive change in your own life. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like and subscribe to stay informed and inspired. Together, we can navigate these challenges and build a brighter future.